The astrology ahead for the week of July the 29th to August the 4th brings us a square between Venus and Uranus. And in essence, this is an energetic of surprises, unexpected developments. It may involve Venusian themes: pleasure, fun, play, love, money, friendship, and peace. And surprises ahead, especially as we approach Thursday into the early part of the weekend. We'll kind of feel it Tuesday through to Saturday. But also, we have a very important beginning of something new. I want you to think of this backdrop behind me, guys. Sort of the backdrop of me is this like Venusian rose picture that I created. The backdrop of the week is something that's really going to hit us in 2026 to 2032 in a positive way. That is the Neptune sextile Pluto energy. That is a critical background hum that invites us to something quite magical. And this energy is going to be really in store for us in 2026 to 2032. We haven't quite got there yet, but it's an out of sign sextile between Neptune, the god of imagination, unconditional love, enlightenment, addictions, escapism, fantasy, reality spinning, etc., and Pluto, transformation and regeneration. And these energies together are very powerful. And we're feeling a hint of it this week and through till 2026 of a new background, a new backdrop. So I'll touch on that energy for you, me, and the world. But also, when you're listening today and you want to listen for the week ahead astrology, listen for your rising sign for sure. That is the character you play in the game of life. And your sun sign can be your purpose and career, and your moon can be your body, your prana, your physical energy, and home matters about where you live. And all of these ways of listening today are very useful. So take all three, check your sign up for all three, see which ones play out over the course of the week ahead as more accurate for you. Now, one of the things I want to mention about this week ahead astrology is that it's also occurring, of course, against another kind of backdrop. We have wars in the world between Russia and Ukraine and Gaza and Israel, and maybe now Hezbollah and Israel. And Venus is a goddess of what unites people, and therefore the goddess of peace. And she rules Libra, which is also about alliances. And so there's things going on to do with peace, justice, alliances, Venus in Leo. Females, leaders, shocks and surprises maybe, and land, Taurus, or finances and markets as well. So we're going to dive into some of the backdrop of the current story, including the political environment in which a U.S. female former Senator and Vice President Kamala Harris, woman, Venus in Leo, Queen Leader archetype, is going to have maybe a surprise development, even just surprisingly announcing a VP running mate that surprises you, because she will be making that announcement, I'm sure, this week. According to me, probably Wednesday, as early as Tuesday or Wednesday, I expect an announcement in her sky for her running mate. And it may be a bit of a shocker or a surprise based on the sky. I know she's supposed to find a male running mate to balance the ticket. And there was an article my partner read that Gretchen Whitmer is her safest choice in terms of no background scandals for the character that she would have as her running mate. Two women running wouldn't surprise me. Women are rising in power. I've talked about why in so many ways in so many videos, so I won't go back over that. By the way, are you new to my channel? My name is Lori Lothian, Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses. I love fixed stars and minor asteroids. Almost all my videos are all sign delineations, so you can listen for your personal astrology. And the fronts of my beginnings of my videos, the front end of my videos, will usually cover world events before we get to your sign. If you don't like world events, you can click the title of the video, or in the comments there are pinned timestamps by my assistant that get you straight to your sign. I encourage you to try listening to the beginning, because I will cover material that I may not broach in the all signs, and some of it may be relevant to you. The only thing I'm sharing is that in the month of July, I have my all signs videos out and ready to go. And if you'd like to get into a deep dive of 90 minutes for your sun, moon, or rising, you can buy that for only $14. It's my flash summer sale. They're usually $25 each. They are about the next 6 months that are left. You got, half a year left to cover. And also, of course, my all signs for $33 instead of the former price of $77. 90 videos times 12. All the information to get that, get on my Sky Reader class waitlist for the 6-week live Be Your Astrologer Time Your Best Life class with me, and all the details about the course and signing up for the waitlist are in the description box below. And sometimes people say, well, what's in my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, my Patreon community? What's weird? I can't find it. Under the title of every video, you'll see a more ... click. Now, when you first get down there, it's just a description of the video usually. You have to scroll down because I've got a ton of freebies and giveaways and everything else underneath, including how to get a reading with me, blah, blah, blah. So I'm surprised sometimes that people don't know what the description box is, or the down box, or the under below box, and how to get there. So again, I probably can't keep repeating this, but that's how you get there. All right. Now, let's get moving. You know, this energy of Neptune, I have found Neptune to be an enlightenment planet myself. It's, you know, he's very much at the great, like an awakening to deeper aspects of reality, seeing beyond the illusion, you know, experiencing a liberation from the limits of I guess our confusion, right? Our senses don't tell us what's true and real. And Pluto is, of course, what we all know. Let's say kind of crisis conflict that brings regeneration and renewal, a caterpillar, butterfly, snake shedding a skin, the god of the underworld, you know, difficulty as well, including death and death-like events. And often, like, you know, we see that in the real sky. Like a Mars-Pluto event can look like an explosion or a war event that's pretty awful, actually. So we know that cycle works. So we know that Pluto has its, you know, side that we don't prefer. But Pluto, who no life is true and real unless we can reinvent ourselves from the ground up, right? So there is something about Kali-esque about Pluto, you know, the skulls on the goddess Kali. It's something about the forest fire that burns it down, Shiva the destroyer, in order for new growth to happen. And Pluto carries some of that renewal and regeneration through the destruction of what is not needed or is no longer true. I bring this up because I'm going to show you the sky. The United States has been in that Pluto return that began to occur, you know, throughout 2022, 23, 24. And the Pluto returning to the birth chart spot it was in with the signing of the Declaration of Independence in the sibling natal chart of the United States of America. That kind of Pluto return can be correlated through the retrospective lens of history to two different falls of Rome and rebirths of Rome, to the French Revolution, let them eat cake, to times when entities called countries have had to fall in order to reinvent themselves. Right now in the United States of America, the polarity is so intense, the vitriol, the religious cult-like fanaticism about being Democratic or being Republican, it has come to an existential crisis of democracy, as the Democrats like to say, as if Donald Trump and his cohort are the Antichrist, right? I'm just saying. And I don't take sides. Now, I'm kind of tired of the comments below. I had a lovely astrologer I adore. I was going to have her on my channel to talk. She's really good to talk election politics. She's doing well on her channel. She's brilliant. Her name is Helena. Astrotarchography is her thing. She just announced she's no longer going to do election astrology. She can't take the comments anymore. You know, stop shooting the messenger. All right, just end of story. Right? When I say I haven't voted, it's because I'm apolitical in any country, everywhere, anywhere, ever at 62 years old. Stop shooting the messenger. I would not vote for Biden nor Kamala nor Trump if I was in your country. I am Canadian, for those Americans listening. So just let it go. Right? Let it go. I am delineating the astrology, not the politics, and the politics and the astrology are combined. Like when I said Donald Trump was in harm's way and he may be assassinated, and it was near or week before or after the 15th of July, that was an astrological delineation, not a hate spell against Trump. When I said Biden will step down, I've been saying this for months, but I said it more recently in several videos before he stepped down. The anger and vitriol from you guys in the comments who are Democrats thinking somehow I'm bad, evil, wrong, and personally attacking me over that, and it turned out to be right, it's really untenable. It's to the point where I don't want to read my comments anymore, and maybe I'll have my assistant instead do that for me. So please be polite and kind in the comments to other people and to me. Thank you. It's civil discourse. Remember that? Civil discourse, the thing that we used to have in society. I think that virtual internet makes civil discourse difficult because you can flame war people and you can be mean and evil and ugly and troll-like, and there's no face-to-face consequence. So remind yourself of that next time you're about to troll me or another commenter in the comments section. Thank you. Now, let's talk about history. Take a pen and paper if you want or not. I got to talk history when I do astrology. I'm obviously the kind of astrologer who likes to look at synodic cycles and make comparisons. So let's just mention a few historic dates. In 1981 and 1982, Neptune co-joined with Pluto in the sign of Gemini. 1981 and 1982 was the beginning of a synodic cycle between these two slow-moving planets. 84 years for the planet Neptune, 248 years for the planet Pluto. Therefore, by the time they cycle back, it's eons, it's hundreds and hundreds of years before they co-join together. So this co-joining in 1981 was the beginning of a new Neptune and Pluto cycle. And that cycle is now in sextile relationship from these two planets. And I'll give you the dates. And then eventually it will move from the sextile relationship to the more difficult square, which we were seeing in the 1600s from the last cycle kind of thing. So the square energy isn't a part of your life or mine. We're not going to be here for the square, but we have been here collectively in the 20th century and the 21st century to experience the sextile between these two important transpersonal, transgenerational planets that I think are connected to the evolution of humanity and our soul as well, the species soul evolving here in the matrix. So if you want to go back then, instead of thinking about your life, just think about history for a minute. In 1944 and 1945, Neptune was moving through Aquarius and Pluto was moving through Aries. The distance between Aquarius and Aries is 2 houses away from each other, or a sextile. Because both planets are moving, that sextile returned again in 1950 to 1956, where now we had Neptune moving through the air sign of Libra, while Pluto had migrated in 1950 and 56 forward to Leo. And then we move again, 1976 to 1978, and Neptune had moved all the way from Libra, right, 1950 to 56, into Sagittarius, and Pluto had moved from Leo into Libra. And each of these epochal times, these energies of 1944-45, Aquarius, Neptune, Pluto, Aries, the sign of war, right? That was the end of World War II, 44, 45. And then we move Neptune in Libra, 1950 to 56, right? And Pluto in Leo. The signs of kings, by the way. And then but sextiles are positive. And then we move to 1976 to 78. And now Neptune is in Sagittarius, the sign of the Archer, which can be about war. And we had the Vietnam War, Neptune, spin cycles, delusion, and Pluto in Libra, pacts, agreements, justice systems, etc. Now, I'm not going to do the deep dive into the historical events of those sextiles because that's for a separate video that will be coming out in 2026 when these two planets, yet again, Neptune and Pluto sextile in the sky. And we get to experience yet again what will be happening here. Neptune moving into Aries, sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. And that is another version of the same ongoing sextile between these planets, that is a part of the long synodic cycle that eventually they will square, and then they will, they'll square, they'll trine, they'll oppose, they'll trine, they'll square, they're sextile, and then they'll come back to a conjunction over hundreds of years. I will talk about that cycle in history and for the world in a longer video. The reason I'm bringing it up today is as a collective, I would say, remember, has anybody ever been where a hurricane's going to happen? I have. I used to live in Maryland, and I was on the coast up of Rehoboth Beach. I was at Rehoboth Beach, which is Delaware, but I was, up in that area, and there was a hurricane coming offshore. It was early September. It was, nice weather for the beach. My son and my husband were up there. And because the hurricane was coming in, but it wasn't here, but the eye of the hurricane was an Atlantic hurricane, the waves were so huge and the wind was so blustery. It was fun body surfing, but almost dangerous at Rehoboth Beach. But this is positive. It's not a hurricane. It's like a fragrance or a feeling or the breeze of a Neptune sextile Pluto that is eventually kicking up its real story, the true perfection of the sextile in 2026 to 2032 between Aries, Neptune, and Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. We're waiting for that real story to show up for us in the world. And it is Aries, the sign of war, where Neptune is going, along with Saturn for like 3 years. And so it's going to be an interesting time around Pluto and Aquarius, collective societal rules, AI, and war. A lot of you know Neptune, the unreal, the ephemeral, but also virtual reality, metaverse, all that stuff. Some of you know that the war in Israel was prosecuted using a software called Lavender. It was an AI software that also had a subdivision called Where's Daddy? The software was able to pinpoint ostensibly where Hamas militants might be at any given time when they went home, where's daddy, to their home. And the protocol was to bomb the apartment building and the home where the kids, the wife, the nieces, nephews, extended family, and anyone else in proximity was. Now there's a new thing coming out, but I'm not taking a side. Leave me alone. Don't shoot the messenger. This is fact. But AI use in war is what I think is going to happen 2026, or virtual war, or cyber war is going to become more prevalent 2026 to 32, rather than soldiers fighting each other on a physical battlefield. It's a Spock like Pluto and Aquarius, clean, neutral, what would you call it? Detached, scientific, Pluto, death, society, rules, culture, AI's Aquarian. And it's flowing to Neptune. Sure, it's flowing, but Neptune is like, what kind of technology is like a video game, right? Nothing like a video game AI telling you places to bomb because maybe the enemy's there, independent of consequences or verification. But we'll see a lot more of that, even though it's a sextile. But in another way, there's a more spiritual meaning to the energy of Neptune and Pluto in general. And from Renn Butler's The Archetypal Universe, I will just grab you a sweet short flavor before because I'm going to do a longer video on this, but he does say things such as Neptune, Pluto in a cooperative energy can look like the questing human soul, the drive to awaken divine consciousness. And that could be also sentient AI, by the way, according to him. I say sentient AI, he doesn't. But if you think about awakening consciousness, I think about, can you make a conscious machine, seem like a human, etc., make it sentient, self-aware, and conscious. And also spiritual yearnings, the destruction of illusions. He says the poet Blake has a Neptune-Pluto trine, and the quote from Blake is the marriage of heaven and hell. Heaven is Neptune and hell is Pluto. So I will cover that a lot more coming up in a later video about this rare time we are coming into with a sextile between Neptune and Pluto that we haven't seen since 76 to 78. Hey, Vietnam War. 1950 to 56. I think that might have been Cambodia as well. I mean, someone get my history books for me. And 1940-45, the tail end of the war, World War II, but the heaven and hell, the end of the war happened through Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the death of millions, hundreds of thousands of people decimated in a blast, and also those who became ill years later from the radiation poisoning. So there you go, heaven and hell. Now, enough pulpit time for me. Let's talk about the sky. Let me show it to you. Venus will be moving through the tail end of Leo, a sign where she's quite entitled and often represents female rulers, leaders, and celebrities, in general celebrities. And there will be a square to Uranus, who's in Taurus on fixed star Algol. Algol is a malefic star, but it's also a wealth star. It works both ways. It was that malefic Algol cut off a head that almost led to the head of Trump being shot. And of course, he would be dead today. And Algol also represents corpses and ghouls and dark things like that. But also wealth. Okay, so remember, Venus is a money goddess, and she will have a little bit of a surprise, unexpected development with Uranus on a star that is about wealth as well. So we may see some unexpected things happening in the stock market in the United States. For example, the U.S. New York Stock Exchange has its sun on the star Algol. Uranus is on the stock exchange sun. Turbulence in the stock market. End of story. Square Venus in Leo. Maybe an announcement by a female leader that is going to send the markets into a tailspin. Maybe just Venus, in a place of rulership and destabilizing markets. I don't know. If anyone thinks we're going to get away without massive market turbulence between now and the end of the year, you're missing something about reality. I am not your financial astrologer. So Venus is going to break up this kind of calm sky as well. We have an unusually calm sky because nothing is happening this week of any note. On the 4th, we have a new moon in Leo. My video on the new moon in Leo came out on Sunday, the July 28th. So if you want to check that video out, your signs are delineated. It's a very positive moon coming up on Sunday. The sky is quiet except for the backdrop of Neptune and Pluto. That's all that's going on, that sort of quiet hum of what we may be really experiencing in more intense depth when Neptune moves into the sign of Aries, because it's an out of sign story now, because Pluto retrograding in Aquarius, Neptune in the sign of Pisces is out of sign, okay, for it to be a sextile. Did I say that right? My brain is half on and half off. Yeah, we want Neptune out of Pisces into Aries. All right, so I'm half on, half because my son's wedding was yesterday, and I got caught in traffic coming back at 10 o'clock at night. It took 3 hours to get home. So I went to bed at 2:30 or something like that. So bear with me if I'm a little foggy as I record this on Sunday, the July the 28th. My Patreon community gets it today, etc. Ad-free early access. All right, moving forward. There's electricity with Uranus. There's shock, there's awe, there's lightning bolts of the unexpected. Let's look at the sky together and talk about how this intensity around Thursday felt as early as Tuesday through to Saturday may show up in your life based on your sign. So let me get that in gear for you. And I'm going to add one small little detail for you, okay? That is Venus squaring Saturn from squaring Uranus from the sign of Leo is in a closing square to Uranus. And this is the last act in a story that began when Venus co-joined Uranus, the synodic cycle, the last gasp. So I'm going to bring that story into the chart because the beginning of this cycle and the house and sign it happened in whole sign houses, one whole sign, one whole house, is going to indicate where some of this action may also be connected to in your chart, because Venus-Uranus conjunct is asking for an electric new beginning with freedom, innovation, and boldness of some sort to do with, breaking free, breaking through. Venus, love and money stories in the place of the conjunction relative to this last quarter square, the tail end story that's happening in the sky. So I want you to consider something just for a minute, because I'm going to just briefly explain something to you. Back in 2019, that was the first time Venus would actually come together with Uranus in the whole sign house of your Taurus sky, like the sign of Taurus in the Western tropical zodiac, okay? So that happened in 2019 because Uranus had just ingressed into, in 2018, the sign of Taurus. And that means that in your life, like you only have a once in a lifetime window of time, unless you live more than 84 years and you repeat, rinse, repeat, that you're going to have Uranus spending his, 7 to 8 year journey through a sign, and Venus on the yearly connecting with Uranus. So I want you to think about it this way: 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 8 times in your life. You will experience Venus, the goddess of love and money and beauty and harmony and peace, join and prosperity to do with money, joining with shock and awe, rags to riches, even Uranus in the sign of Taurus in your sky. You have 12 pie slices to your sky: career, marriage, children. It's all about money, earnings, health matters, personhood. That's why this is important to understand. Not only is it a part of a synodic cycle, the closing square from the last conjunction, which I already mentioned, it is that, and the last conjunction was May 18th of this year, 2024. It is also a bigger story. So on May 18th, yes, they came together in 2024. On July the 4th, Uranus and Venus come together on July 4th, next July 4th. At 29 degrees of Taurus, and on April the 24th, 2026, again at 29 degrees of Taurus. The May 18th, 2024 conjunction of Venus and Uranus happened at 23 degrees of Taurus. And, did I say closing square? Opening square. I'm so tired from lack of sleep, sorry. Opening square. So now Venus is moving on, right? Moving on in her opening square, not closing square. And she will not finish the story of the last conjunction of May 18th, 2024. She will not finish the story till July 4th of 2025. But it's a broader umbrella of change and unexpected and surprising developments in your Taurus whole sign house that are Venusian, to do with love, to do with sisters and beauty and home and friendship and peace and money. Okay, that's her story, and art and creativity. So that's the story you've been going through since 2019. I am an Aquarius rising, for example. Uranus since 2019 has been moving through my house of home, property, and real estate, and I've had a lot of unexpected changes of home. But Venus can also represent prosperity from your home or celebrity from your home. In 2019, I started my lunatic astrology channel, and Uranus also represents the internet. And I've been going through this cycle that ends in 2026, April 24th. So you want to look at the big picture story, not just the micronutia. The flaw of modern astrology on YouTube, unfortunately, is it's telling you a one-off, like it's a rainy day, it's a cloudy day, get an umbrella, hot, go to the beach. It doesn't tell you it's part of a bigger weather pattern. It does not explain that to you, which is giving you no tools to use the cycles, just being at the mercy of the weekly weather forecast or the monthly weather forecast. How can you use that? You can't use it. It's useless content unless you want to always be tuning into some channel. Instead, know the cyclical nature of the sky. That's what I like to share with you. Okay. Alrighty. Moving into the story of the week ahead. Take a look at the sky with me, will you? Now, if you subscribe to my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, you get pop-up contests for free readings. You get a whole bunch of stuff that I provide, but you also get my written report of the week ahead. I'll cover politics and things I don't cover here quite often, as well as more detail about the sky and different ways of seeing it. So if you like written content by me, no, not an AI app, then check out my Cosmic Moonshine weekly forecast. Comes out mostly on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays, and it's free. So unsubscribe anytime. Okay. This is the sky. Just don't worry about it being July 29th. I have it queued for Scorpio rising, Scorpio here, whole sign house system. But I want you to pay attention to what Venus is doing. You see that she's in the sign of Leo, right? And that's where she's going to be traveling through to, I think it's August the 5th or so. My memory serves me. And as she's up here at the top of the sky in this particular chart, but here, as she's here in the sign of Leo, she comes into this difficult conversation with, or shocking or surprising, with Uranus at 26 degrees of Taurus. And as we begin the early part of the week, she's not really engaged yet. She's at 22 degrees, Uranus is at 26. It's a 4-degree window of time, a space between them. Technically, you want to see 3 degrees. And by Tuesday, I've just moved us forward. She's at 23, Uranus is at 26. We feel engagement. 26 degrees, Tuesday, 3 degrees away. Wednesday, 2 degrees away from perfection. And August the 1st, Wednesday, 26 and 26, we're heading into the bullseye time. I think a lot of this will be announcements about Kamala Harris's running mate based on other factors in her chart that I'm not going to go into. And also maybe announcements from Donald Trump, or about Donald Trump, because Venus happens to be on his ascendant and on his natal Mars by precision on August the 1st. Mars on his ascendant and Mars ascendant Venus in a square to Uranus in Donald Trump's 10th house of career and reputation. There is all kinds of chatter that he may dump JD Vance. I don't even know if that's legal to dump JD Vance after it has been approved of by the Republican people in the Republican National Convention. Does anybody know if you can do that? But some of the chatter is that he picked Vance based on a Biden-Harris ticket, and this is no longer a Biden-Harris ticket, and the strategic advantage of JD Vance may not be as powerful as it used to be. And if that is the case, a shocking Donald Trump story Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday is, guess what? I've asked JD Vance to be a part of my cabinet, and he's going to be the Minister of War or whatever, but he's not going to be in the vice president seat. I'm going to choose somebody else. Then because Kamala Harris is a woman, and a woman in the main seat, he may even choose someone like Tulsi Gabbard and say, we need a woman so that we get the kind of vibe of we're a man and a woman in power. Who knows? I'm making stuff up. The only other thing is that for the world at large, Venus represents peace and harmony and uniting of that which is divided in war. And she is in a whole sign sextile as she squares Uranus to Mars, the god of war, in the sign of warring neighbors and warring brothers. And Jupiter's trying to bring justice to those things. You know, the ICJ declared that there's no right for Israel to take occupation of Gaza, for example. Yet again, the obvious, right? But we'll see those stories deepen and emerge, especially mid-August when Mars and Jupiter conjunct. But when it comes to Ukraine, Russia, and when it comes to issues to do with Gaza, Israel, Venus may be playing a role in the sky in this week ahead with some surprising or unexpected developments, courtesy of Uranus. In Israel's chart, Venus represents is in the ninth house. The ninth house is whole sign house, courts, justices, and legal matters, and foreign influence, other countries. Venus is peace, foreign influence, foreign female leaders, sun, just foreign leaders in general. And the other part of the story then makes it an interesting one, because if this is the ninth house, we go back 8, 7, and 6, it's the sixth house, the gates of Hades, the difficult place where Uranus is delivering the unexpected, shocking, and surprising developments as well. So the sixth house in a nation's chart, for example, because Israel is a Libra rising, it can be something to do with workers and labor force and economy. And many people don't know this, but the gross domestic product of Israel is down by 40% by most estimates because of, what do you call those things? Not when people won't do business with you, you know the word, guys. This is tired and menopause brain, I think. When people block you because they don't like your policies and they won't do trade and barter with you, or products won't be sold there, Starbucks won't do business there, things like that. So they've got that kind of problem. And they've also got the problem of the labor force in trouble because they don't have the Palestinians from the West Bank to do jobs they were doing. And there's a slowdown in all kinds of the retail and construction and everything else. So there may be some news about the economy in Israel that is rather upsetting or shocking or surprising to some people during this week ahead. We'll see if that looks true as well. Or more declarations by things like United Nations or ICJ or the ICC, because Venus is in the house of those kinds of entities in the sky, and Uranus brings the unexpected, shocking, or surprising. And we're going to finish world astrology, but I would be remiss if I didn't say anything else, And one of the things I would say, so many people keep asking me to please focus on R.F.K. Like, why am I ignoring him? I'm not. His sun is in Capricorn. His sun will be influenced by the retrogradation of Pluto, September, October, November, over his sun in Capricorn. So I'm not ignoring him, but I think his role may be to be a disruptor of the election, because what may happen, he may garner more distraction votes as a third party, same with Jill Stein, but more him, that could end up in the weirdest situation where there is a tie between maybe Harris and Trump. If they're the last standing, we'll see. We're not sure of that yet. Or there is, he gets a chunk of votes. It doesn't give either the 270 electoral seat majority that is needed in the U.S. Constitution to take the Oval Office. I don't know if that is even possible. If anyone has any political acumen, I'm pretty apolitical, but I do know that's the only thing I can think of. His role is to disrupt. He has that Capricorn sun. His father, R.F.K, was assassinated in 1968, and 1968 was when we had the replay. I've been saving videos of newscasters going, this is just like 1968. This is just like 1968. We're in a repeating cycle. And I've been saying that since my video I recorded in March about this being a year that repeats 1968. Student sit-ins, protests, assassination attempts, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy Sr., things to do with wars that are really hard, like Gaza and Israel, like the Vietnam War, protests and sit-ins, students in those wars, and the incumbent president stepping away from the candidacy to go into the fall election. Hubert Humphrey did the same thing in the month of April. And the election was in November. Biden stepped away later, but it's the same story. Stepped aside, stepped away, whatever. And then the vice president, Hubert Humphrey, Kamala, took over. And in that time, they had an open Democratic National Convention. They may or may not do that. And Nixon, the opposing party, won. This may or may not be true. Trump may or may not win, but there is a repeating pattern here. The cycle does repeat. Now, it's ironic that R.F.K. is getting into the mix when his dad was a part of the 1968 cycle. He may be carrying the patrilineal karma of his Capricorn sun in his sixth house of karmic debts and karmic service, to do service to pay off karmic debts. For all we know, this is a story to do with generations and karmic debt within a familial structure, the Kennedys in particular. And for R.F.K., this Pluto story is why I think September 1st to November 19th, the Pluto retrograde, station direct October 11th, is very much inviting R.F.K. into the narrative of a very complicated, very difficult, and very wild card, for lack of a better word, crazy election. It could even repeat the Gore versus Al Gore versus George Bush Jr. Contest for who actually won the election, ballots being counted at the last minute, etc. Those are possibilities for what we're seeing in the sky. And when I see Venus squaring Uranus this week, and that's why we're talking about it, this disruption energy in the sky to do with leaders, Sun, Venus, and Uranus may give us some clues about where things may be going. Anything else I want to say about this? Let me just sit still in myself and see if there's anything else I say about the sky for the world at large, and then we'll move forward. Taurus is the sign of the bull. The bull represents markets and economies. The conjunction of Mars and Uranus on Algol, a wealth star, the star of the sun of the United States of America, New York Stock Exchange, is going to indicate upheaval and calamity in the stock markets and maybe the economy at large. Because that conjunction actually occurred behind us on July the 15th, it usually shows you its hand, like a poker hand, within 6 weeks to 3 months at the most, but it applies to a cycle that lasts 2 years. Second of all, looking at the sky, one other thing I may say about it is going back to R.F.K., and I will do a video on him and Kamala and Trump again. I'll be doing more content on these people. I have an elections playlist on my page. Go look for the elections playlist. I would say because R.F.K. Jr. has a Leo rising, apparently, that's the best data we've got. I think it might be right. He's literally experiencing a lot of the same intensity of energy in the sky that Donald Trump is experiencing. And in particular, on early November, around the first week of November, Mars will move into the sign of Leo, and that will cross the ascendant of both R.F.K. and Donald Trump. And that can be very difficult energy. Trump is used to it. He's born with Mars on his ascendant, and there may be real challenges for both of those characters in the fall, despite this being the election energy that we're so excited about. Now, maybe R.F.K. could save the day, right? Moving into the all signs portion of the reading today, I need to get some traction on your sign. So let me go back in time to get your sign up. So again, repeating the general theme of a quiet week ahead with a new backdrop of this sort of spiritual and profound energy of Neptune, Pluto, but it's not the real deal. It may have a kind of scent, like a scent or a fragrance of what we're going to experience 2026 onward to 2032. But it's in the backdrop, right? For the next couple of years. It's back there, looming, like on the horizon line. But we do see that the main action, besides the new moon in Leo on Sunday, the 4th, go listen to my All Signs video that came out this Sunday, July the 28th. The thing we want to pay attention to for each sign is Venus square Uranus, reminding you that this is the opening square. I apologize for the beginning. Lack of sleep. The opening square, so that she's going to travel all the way around, trine, square, oppose, blah, and she's going to come back here. And she'll be back here July 4th next year, conjunct Uranus at 29 degrees of Taurus. All this simply means is that whatever is happened starting on May 18th of 2023 to do with Venus Uranian themes in Taurus are now being activated or tested tested as Venus moves through the sign of Leo. So for your sign, we'll talk about the Leo and the Taurus whole sign part of your chart. Aries is first, always first, headstrong, bullhead, ram's horns. I got an Aries sun, moon, and Mercury. I'm so Aries, it's not funny. Yes, I am very, very boldly critical of critics who are trolls, but that's my fighting spirit. Let's start out. Let's say this, Aries, what are you trying to reset? Ever since 2019, when Venus began to conjunct Uranus in your second house of earnings, money, savings, self-worth, facial appearance, dietary style. Have you been making a lot of changes? Venus, pleasurable dietary challenges, style shifts, Venus, money, wealth, and even rags to riches when Venus and Uranus combine forces in your second house, but maybe sometimes downturns, riches to rags. What has this been like for you with money goddess and love goddess and food and pleasure goddess in the house of what you eat, dietary changes, okay, food style changes, substance abuse changes, and things that go into the story of your savings, earnings, and resources and financial wellness. Big changes up and down. Now, Algol is a wealth star. End of story. And it is indicative potentially of a big story of unexpected wealth coming your way between May 18th of 2024 and July 4th of 2025. This is the opening square where something is shifting to show you what this particular year-long synodic cycle is for. And this is Venus in the house of money, luck, speculation, casinos, gaming, speculative stock taking off, betting, gambling, lottery tickets, and stuff like that. So you could have some unexpected, surprising, shocking, positive financial wealth come to you in the year. Now, is every single Aries, sun, moon, or rising who's listening today going to experience that? Of course not. More likely, by the way, if it would happen, it's for the Aries rising. There are other themes: unexpected pregnancy, unexpected shifts in your relationship to your children, unexpected surprising developments this week, remember midweek, to do with a romantic love sexual partner, or to do with sexuality as a general theme. Unexpected developments with creative or entrepreneurial projects that surprise you, but may be connected to the broader theme of you're generating some new kind of wealth. And there may be some square energy Tuesday through to Saturday, exact on Thursday. Squares just invite us to take action and make decisions, right? So you're taking critical actions and decisions about children, relationships, romantically, entrepreneurial projects, and creative projects in the week ahead. And it's a good week to buy a lottery ticket, okay? But don't know your limit and play it within it. Let me know how that goes, Aries. I want to hear back from you in the comments what happened at the opening square from this reset button on the Wealth Star that occurred in your sky May 18th of 2024, and we'll close out next July of 25. All right, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. In the sky, we see the story here of your Lord Venus, the planetary ruler for your sign, moving into a square to Uranus on Thursday. A couple of days before and after, you're going to experience unexpected developments that are surprising or freedom-loving, breaking through, breaking free of something that's held you back, right? A somewhat shackle of pleasure, what shackle of love, what shackle of self-esteem and self-love, because Venus can represent how we love ourselves. Why do I say love ourselves? Because Venus has been co-joining with Uranus in the house of your identity, right? Ever since Taurus, 2019, and will finish in 2026. But this time, it's on fixed star Algol, one of difficulty, off with their head, decapitation, or wealth. And that star is in the house of you. Are you going to lose your shit, lose your head, or lose your home? Because your home is your fourth house. Be careful. Are you going to do something to break through or break free of some, by the way, chironic wound in the house of addictions? Maybe self-undoing. And Venus, the goddess of love and unity and pleasure, is doing the first opening square you need to make a decision or take some bold action and courageous, heart-filled action to resolve an issue that has to do with how you let yourself down, sabotage yourself, don't love yourself, can't get free of your own self, etc. And Venus is with the sun in your fourth house, which can represent the patriarchal line of your family and some breaking free from the challenges that you have inherited or adopted from your dad's side of the family, including your dad relationship. A sacred flame invites you, by the way, to tend the home hearth, healthy cooking, cozy nights at home, tending your sacred flame in the home and enjoying quiet time in the home. But what is this? A disturbance in the field of your home life, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But it makes you take actions and decisions that fortify a reinvention of self. Okay? In dramatic, freedom-loving, self-loving ways. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. Progress sun here. Always listen for me. Progressions are secondary to natal placements. The sun moves a year ahead, a degree ahead every year after the time of birth, roughly. Okay. Now, this is a story for Gemini where you have been experiencing since 2019 the repeating cycle of Venus meeting with Uranus on the yearly through to 2026 in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus in your chart is a meaningful spot to do with your deep soul work. You can't really touch and feel that 12th house. It could be your dreams at night, your meditations and your reveries. But on a tangible and practical level, it also is the house of things to do with far off foreign shores. Sometimes moving there, sometimes generating income or revenue from businesses, clients, barter and trade, or situations to do with borderless income. So, of course, with Uranus, rags to riches anyway, but then Venus on the yearly, you've been having some real jolts up and down, perhaps with money made in those ways, or desires to maybe move or not move to another country, or things to do with your spiritual awakening process. And I can attest as a sun progressed to Gemini, my career, that making money in my career and purpose has been through international borderless income since 2019, and there have been big ups and some very big downs. Now, in this regard, you reset a button on Wealth Star Algol on May 18th, 2024, that closes out July the 4th of 2025. That little nested chapter of a larger cycle indicates a potential massive increase in your wealth as a result of the monies you may make in the 12th house. But decapitation, Medusa's head, Algol, may be a real deep and profound decapitating or ending of something to do with the 12th house. With Venus in your third house, the dramatic decapitation of social media work or of blogs or of communications projects or decisions you're making this week and actions you're taking to generate wealth through writing projects or new social media strategies. But look to Thursday, Tuesday to Saturday for clues, because that's where you're propelled through an unexpected development to take an action or make a decision. As well, you might feel that this is not about you. It might be about a sibling. It may be something going on in the life of a sibling that surprises you, especially if the sibling is connected to spiritual matters or far off places. And there's a bit of a topsy-turvy moment here regarding a sibling or extended family, aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, and nephew, a storyline playing out in this week ahead, especially Thursday, a day before and after. This is the opening square. This is the beginning of the first testing of the new conjunction in your 12th house. So you'll be asked to make decisions and take actions because squares are the nature of Mars and they bring those choices about in our lives. So choices about neighbors, neighborhoods, siblings, writing projects, creative projects to do with the online world, teaching projects as well, or learning projects. Those are all in the mix for you as we approach Thursday. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign with Venus moving into a conjunction to Uranus since 2019 on the yearly in your 11th house of good spirit. There has been a radical revision and change of the kinds of social friendship groups and belonging cycle people you belong to. So my Cancer rising sister retired from nursing, I think at the end of 2018, and no longer had a social group in the nursing community, hospital community, for example, and may have formed new friendships that are electrifying, exciting, freedom-loving, inventive, and quirky, for example. But your 11th house can also represent things that have to do with your long-range goals and dreams, and they've been radically reinvented, as well as the way you gain money from your career with Venus and Uranus, sudden up levels, sudden upticks, sudden, surprising positive developments in your career earnings since 2019. And Uranus represents the sort of inventive, original, color outside the lines ways of doing money earnings here as well. Now, your elder sibling, one above you, the one just older than you, belongs to the 11th house. Of course, that's also Venus's house. And so Venus in the second house can mean money from an elder sibling that surprises you and delights you, or decisions you need to make around earnings, financial resources, savings, and money, and an elder sibling. Also, maybe decisions you need to make around friendship groups, belonging, and career gains strategies that may no longer work for you because something surprises you and you want to change direction or make a change in the story. This story is continually playing out until next July the 4th. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Venus will meet in the sky. Venus has been meeting in the sky on the routine. Hang on, I need more air in my house. Give me a minute. Oh, that's better. Venus has been meeting in the sky with Uranus in the sign of Taurus since 2019, once a year. This indicates a radical area of change that prevails until 2026 that may be surprising and may be electrifying. It's your career. What the heck are you doing here? Have you had different kinds of career occupations and shifts or radical unexpected changes up there in your sky since 2019? I bet you have. And this story continues to play out in your sky all the way through to 2026. What's interesting about the time we're in now is this is the opening square from the May 18th of 2024 conjunction of Venus and Uranus in the sign of Taurus on fixed star Algol, energetically opening up a doorway or a portal to radical change in the Taurus part of your chart connected to a wealth star. How can you become more dramatically, excitingly, hair-raisingly wealthy or prosperous, perhaps, in your stated career and visible reputation? When? Between May of 24 and July of 2025. In the meantime, the opening square of Venus is asking you to pay attention to yourself. Venus always asks the same question. What do you truly desire? I love that. That's right out of the Lucifer Morningstar show. The NBC had out and then someone took it over. It's a fun show about the devil. He always says, what do you truly desire? What do you truly desire? That's what it's asking, right? And you have to say, what do I value? What do I desire? How do I honor my value and desires? That's what Venus is asking you when she moves through Leo every year. But since 2019, honoring your values and desires is really connected to also the intense energy of how your values and desires outpicture in career changes that align with those values and fit those desires in a way that's harmonious. So you're going to continually ask that question until 2026. What I like about this one is the fixed star Algol suggests a surprise or a shock or something exciting coming from this. It's just not any old version of what we've been experiencing since 2019. And Venus is going to bring this question and action decisions that are needed around it to light on Thursday, 2 days before and after, to give it some latitude, most likely Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Technically, it would be a surprising job offer, a surprising job change, a surprising amount of success and wealth percolating off something you're doing in a work environment, a surprising decision to change your values and what you want in your work and career, and some event propels actions and decisions to make you make those choices. So let me know what goes on this week, because that looks to me like extremely positive. You love Venus and Leo because you are more charming, you are more beautiful, you are more friendly, you are more self-loving right now. And so as this unexpected career surprise happens, whatever it is, career, boss, reputation, who knows, it ultimately propels you to make a decision to deepen your truest desires in relative to your career choices in this week ahead. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. What a sky. You got Venus moving through Taurus ever since 2019, meeting with Uranus yearly. But this version of this change of the book of change in your ninth house of God, spirituality, religion, foreign land travel, third marriages, third person you're married to, third marriages, or with for a long time, living it with committed long-term love, marriages. Big changes in your educational path have been rattling you up and shocking you and surprising you and disrupting you since 2019. Virgo rising daughter started off at McGill University, for instance, like started off at one college or university, disruption, moved, changed, took time off, went to another school, another town. Big disruptions and also changes of majors and big shifts in her ninth house of higher education since 2019. Hallelujah, she just graduated. It took that long, 2019 to 2024, because of her path that she was on of disruption. Uranus, Venus up there, however, for people who are having this, is trying to bring benefic outcomes. She's in an air of Earth trine to you. So the changes, while difficult, are useful to you. So those ninth house shifts are here again, May 18th, Venus Uranus conjunct on Algol in your ninth house. And there was a sense, therefore, of some significant change that is asked to happen with your wisdom, your spiritual philosophy, your meaning of life, your foreign land travel plans, visas, and passports. I have another Virgo rising friend who wants to move abroad for a couple of years, and she has been thinking about it since way back when. Things to do with your academic environment, and also guides, counselors, mentors. Those are the very ninth house people. And some of those people may be surprisingly coming into play. With Venus, it can be a female guide, mentor, or counselor or therapist from a foreign land. And there's a surprising development Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday around that, maybe. You need to take action and make decisions where Venus is sitting. It's a square, and it will require you to go deep into the 12th house of self-undoing addictions and bad habits and patterns, as well as you make decisions this week ahead. But also Venus is in a far off shores land, and so is Uranus. And for some of you, it may be radical decisions and choices regarding travel or relocation plans connected to countries other than your country of birth, or far off from where you currently live. And if you're in the book publishing industry, you write books, Uranus in the house of publications, Venus in the house of backroom deals, or things you're doing in your private life, can indicate some breakthroughs, but requiring change and decisions in the publishing industry or podcasting industry, even for some Virgos in this particular week ahead. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, technically speaking, you're ruled by Venus, as is Taurus, and so you pay attention, hopefully, to what she does in the sky. And ever since 2019, she's been tracking through Taurus and meeting Uranus once a year. This means there's been a lot of change in your eighth house. This is the house of inheritance money, money from investments, money from insurance payouts, unearned income, chunks of money. This is also money you share with a significant other, and there may be business partner and love partner turbulence and unexpected developments financially since 2019. Eighth house energy is also the occult mysteries, tarot, supernatural, paranormal, mysterious stuff. You may have been shockingly and surprisingly delighted by Venus, Uranus since then to get you into that direction in your life. I have a Libra friend who's written a best-selling book. She's a shaman, but it really did, I think, deepen her interest during all of this, Venus, Uranus since 2019, and take her even to a more profound place of connection to the spiritual wisdom of the occult and mystical stuff, right? And technically, the esteem of others is technically a meaning of the eighth house, and there may have been disruptions in how people esteem or don't esteem you. Or how do they think of you? What kind of place do they put you in of esteem or lack of esteem since 2019? And sex scandals can go in the 8th house, and you may have been subject to a sex scandal. I know a Libra who went through a weird sex scandal, being accused of a date rapey thing, and I know that person did not do that. And so there was like that kind of stuff that may have hit you pretty hard. Now, and of course, inheritances that were unexpected or timing was unexpected. Now, here's this Venus energy after opening on Algol in a money house, the wealth star in a money house for chunky money. Co-join Venus, Uranus, okay, May of 2024. And it will be the opening action and decisions you need to make here as she comes into the opening square from Leo and says decisions and actions must be taken around money and wealth stories from the house of friends, allies, and benefactors, people who wish to help you, an elder sibling even, from the house of your career gains as it relates to your unearned income and decisions and actions you're taking here. I do say that not all of you will experience an uptick in wealth in the next year till July 4th next year when the synodic cycle closes. But Algol, Uranus, Venus in a wealth house could definitely take your money story up a notch in a very powerful way in the next year ahead. For many of you, but certainly not all of you, that is quite possible. Finally, there's a kind of like I feel like life is gracing me with windfalls or pennies from heaven. I don't mean gambling. It just means like I'm lushly being rained upon by financial prosperity and good karmic rewards. And you may have a little bit of a windfall energy here. And look to what's happening on Thursday, Friday. You may need to make Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, some decisions about an unexpected monetary gain that comes out of left field. It could be a friend, an ally, a benefactor. So just want to help you. I'm going to give you a favor here. Here's some money, or here's some prosperity, or here's some uplift for you. So take a gander. Tell me what happens for you during that time. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Venus since 2019 connects with Uranus every year in Taurus. A synodic cycle that has been playing out for you in your house of marriage and long-term love. So you've had unexpected disruptions, maybe some polyamory or desire to give each other space and freedom, Uranus, this kind of up and down energy, but also exhilarating. And it may also be about your significant other or others and the nature of them. Freedom lovers, rule breakers, quirky, freak fly your freak flag types of folks. But whatever it is, it's been ongoing since 2019. And if you had already been in an established relationship as that cycle began, you probably had some serious upsets, breakages, reorientations in that relationship, or just the need to give each other a huge amount of independence, interdependence, and freedom. Now, this is a cycle, Algol, right? Wealth, Venus, and 7th house. Your partner may come into some wealth in the next year between May of 24 and July 4th of next year. And it may come through inheritance because Jupiter is in their inheritance house till next June. Just be aware of that. Otherwise, if you are somebody who reaches out into the audience and marketplace from your career to put stuff into the public eye, this could be a breakthrough time for you, but you need, and it could provide wealth, but you need to make a decision because Venus is in the career house. So there's some pivotal and intense career choices and decisions you're making, perhaps Thursday, 2 days before and after as well. And it does connect to legal contracts, agreements, partnerships, work. So it could be a new work opportunity or your significant long-term love story. You also probably had some disruption since 2019 because Venus would have kept doing this in your work situation. And many of you changed your jobs many times, I bet, getting a contract of terms of service since 2019 as you kept tumbling into new things and changing them up a lot. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So Venus is every year since 2019 meeting with Uranus and Taurus. And that means reset, reset, reset button with unpredictable, surprising change in an area of the chart, the 6th house, the gates of Hades, that talks about pets, rentals, debts, tenancies, employer-employee relationships, service and servitude, hard work, and therefore your job, and things that may also connect to a deeper layer of karmic service to pay off the karmic debts you owe, usually from the 8th house, to receive the rewards of the 11th. So it's a deep place, it's a profound place, and sometimes a difficult place where you've been resetting since 2019. And that may involve major changes with rental properties, employees, jobs, and pets as well. Destabilizing energy with Uranus and Venus, so trying to bring you something good out of the destabilizing energy, particularly like asking you to love your work, maybe, right? And also your health, maybe some real big ups and downs in health matters with Venus, Uranus. And with Venus in general, you want to look to health matters that are connected to themes that Venus is in charge of, right? Maybe sexual health matters, maybe mental wellness health matters. Now, what's going on here is that Venus on this week ahead on Thursday, don't forget the cycle she began on May 18th closes on July 4th of next year. This is a reset button with fixed star Algol, wealth, connected to work, connected to debts and debt relief, karmic and real. There may be some wealth through work. There may be some wealth through debt relief. Maybe some kind of unexpected repayment of a debt and you've got some money from someone else. I don't know, but that could bring some wealth between now and next July. On the other hand, it is a difficult star. It is about the decapitation of Medusa, and Taurus rules your neck. So, kind of like the neck, shoulders, part of the body, the head, neck, shoulders is really this neck, shoulders. Be careful, for that. But Venus is a goddess of goodness, and she's trying to bring something good. And as she squares from your 9th house on Thursday, decisions and actions must be taken to do with the following areas of reality: pets and travel, travel and work, book publishing and work as service, the situation when it comes to educational opportunities, especially higher education, and situations to do with your work, and an unexpected surprise developing in that 6th house, 9th house axis. And 9th house energy with Venus up there can be a female that who's very much about a spiritual path, involved in the book publishing industry, and delivers a surprise to your doorstep, or podcasting thing. Unexpected podcasting invitation would be classic sky for this coming up Thursday. You need to take action, and you need to make decisions, okay, Thursday, 2 days before and after, to progress the story forward in the opening square that closes up with a new conjunction next July. This is the first time you need to take action on a potential powerful shift in your 6th house. I already delineated the meanings of the 6th house. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. So here we have it. We have this energy of Venus since 2019 moving through a regular cycle, a rhythmic cycle of encountering Uranus in Taurus every year. And as this continually occurs, the Taurus part of your chart has unpredictable change in love and money matters to do with love and romance, 5th house, or money that you win or get through speculation, or romantic sexual life. You've had some destabilization, some twists and turns, some exciting, free love, unconventional love, outside the bounds, romantic love, weird experiments in sexuality, perhaps since 2019 as a Capricorn. Did you get into kink, bondage? Did you try long distance love? Did you try unconventional, freedom loving polyamory? What were you up to since 2019? Because this is when the cycle began for you. Now, the other thing that's going on is this is about your children and pregnancy, unexpected stories to do with your own children that have surprised you have been maybe occurring, as well as unexpected cycles to do with financial luck. So that began in 2019, and you may have had some unexpected sort of sense of financial increase since 2019 that felt fortunate or lucky in essence. And with Venus continually going through your inheritance house, for some of you Capricorns, you may have inherited money in this cycle that began since 2019. As we move now toward this week ahead, what is beginning to happen here and closes out next July, so May of this year to July of next year, the conjunction of Venus with Uranus was on the wealth star Algol in the house of money luck. Therefore, you are set up for some financial luck, for sure, probably, between May of this year and July of next year. This is the opening square asking for decisions and actions that propel you towards this luck or these surprises regarding romance or fertility or children. And the opening square is in the 8th house of chunky money. So maybe something going on with your taxes, your finances with your significant other, the money you share together. Maybe they win some money and want to share it with you. Maybe there's something going on with your kinky sexual secrets you're not wanting to share with somebody. Sexual secrets can be Venus in the 8th house. Hidden variables to do with romantic and sexual love coming to the forefront on, Thursday, 2 days before and 2 days after. And I'm going to leave it at that. That's pretty well the delineation of what may be occurring for you. You'll be asked to decide, to take action, and make decisions in the time frame of Thursday, 2 days before and after, most likely. Okay, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising, I am indeed one of you. And I would say we have a sky with destabilized home life ever since 2019 as Venus and Uranus keep co-joining in our 4th house, but ultimately we could also be very unexpectedly prosperous, and rags to riches are very possible from things we do in our 4th house. I shared earlier as an Aquarius rising, by the way, this is me starting my YouTube channel in 2018, 19, and having all of this unexpected ad revenue and positive financial well-being through being a YouTube content creator. But it has been up and down, as all things are in content creation land. Because this is a wealth star, it can also be prosperity through land, property, and real estate, or legacy wealth to do with inheritances, or money coming through partnership with others. That's to Juno in the inheritance house. And contracts and partnerships with others can bring wealth, but it's connected to what started in May of this year. In your home, from your home, wealth star Algol, finishing up next July. Venus is in the 7th house of partnerships, and you're making critical decisions to do with partnering with women or people who can propel you forward in home-based wealth, perhaps. You may also consider that Venus is in the house of your significant long-term business and love partners, and they are very highlighted in this week, especially Thursday, a couple days before and after, and some critical surprises. Maybe they're telling you something you didn't expect. Maybe something's going on in their lives you didn't anticipate. And there's a critical decision point, turning point energy as you face that other person, the other Venus squaring your Uranus Algol story. Now, Venus is always about uniting, but the square asks for intensity, right? Friction that produces conflict and often decisions and actions from that. An important female in your life may confront you with something to do with your home or legal contracts in your home. As example, I've been anticipating a move from my home again with the Uranus conjunction to Algol. It would be a prosperous move. So we'll see what happens. Let me know how it goes, guys. Reminding you that this is a cycle that keeps repeating until 2026. Then your home life can stabilize, all right? Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. So on the yearly, since 2019, Venus has co-joined in Taurus. She's your exaltation lord, exaltation sign. She's exalted in your sign. So you have a special like and relationship for her often. And she will be doing this conjunction from your 3rd house, this square. But don't forget, May of this year, she co-joined with Algol, the wealth star, and Uranus in the 3rd house. Wealth can come to you from aunts, uncles, cousins, and siblings between May of this year and July of next year. But you've had destabilized relationships with travel, short distance, skills-based learning, online world factors. Things are been destabilized to do with your neighbors and neighborhood. These are areas of instability since 2019, as Venus, every time she joined Uranus, made a change here. Especially women and sisters in particular being destabilized in your relationships. However, also, this conjunction, which closes out next July, is going to bring you something very, hopefully, wealthy or powerful. It could be to do with something going on with travel or an opportunity for a skills-based educational path or teaching path that can open doors to greater wealth in your life as a general principle, because Venus is in the house of work as service, and it's how you pay off your 8th house karmic debts in order to achieve your 11th house gains and rewards karmically. And so Venus says, I want to find work I love and I enjoy that can also help me prosper. It could be in and from my neighborhood environment, connected to alliances with siblings or extended family members, or writing, communicating, blogging, and social media. Those are all third house stories. Uranus is the god of the internet and also invention and pioneering and unusual ways of doing things. You may be looking at a turning point though this Thursday, because this cycle, right? Venus co-joined Algol in May, closing it out in July, that wants to bring you some startling positive wealthy developments perhaps in your third house. Now, of course, a sibling could lose her head, younger sibling in particular, if you have one, and or a neighbor may lose their head at you in shocking, surprising ways over the course of the next year or until next July. But the opening square is the invitation to make a decision and action, often through an unexpected event that surprises you here, to do with pets, work, tenancies and rentals, employer-employee relationships. The surprise is coming into this part of your sky, connected to things that happen to be connected to the third house. Now, neighbors and the local environment in your daily life is changing as a result of this, and the decisions you make around that are coming up for you this week. The opening square, of course, is the beginning of a story that comes all full circle by next July. It's the first suggestion, hint, clue as to what the hell the conjunction on Algol was about for you in May 18th of 2024 that will completely show its true nature to you by July 4th of next year. Thanks for listening, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and all of you who've been listening so far. I forgot to say like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Help me grow. I appreciate it. I had the delight of growing by more than 6,000 subscribers so far since the beginning of the month of July. I appreciate your enthusiasm for the astrology. Particularly, a lot of you came on board because I predicted Donald Trump being assassinated almost, and I also predicted assassinated Joe Biden having the step down thing. And so now you guys have come for the astrology stuff. Don't worry. I'm putting out a Kamala Harris deep dive video later this week. Then I'm going to move into another look at Donald Trump, and then I'm going to look at R.F.K, and I will look even maybe at J.D. Vance if he survives. Maybe Trump saying, I changed my mind. Only Trump could do something as crazy as just change his mind, because he's the guy who literally said, I'm not going to the inauguration of Joe Biden. And this is all unprecedented territory when you have someone like Donald Trump doing things in the public view. Okay, thanks for listening. Sky Read starts in middle September. Come join me. Shopping cart / enrollment cart opens mid-August. Get the early bird discount to be your own astrologer, time your best life 6-week live course with me by looking in the description box below. I've taught it 4 times. This will be my 5th. Gets better every time. See if you want to learn astrology and see if you can read your own sky a bit. Come and join me. Thanks, guys, for listening. Big hugs, and I appreciate all of you. This channel has been a labor of love and sometimes a labor of pain and torture. Recording with COVID, recording on the road, recording when I'm jet lagged, recording when I'm traveling. He who rides a tiger cannot dismount. The tiger is a content creation beast. I kid you not. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of my world.